Invitations out. Okay, we're back. I really do appreciate your time you guys are putting in for this. I do. I'm learning so much. I think everyone else is as well. Okay, let's get into it. So, confidence. Taiwo, you were saying.
Yeah, yeah, I think it just grows with time. And I don't think you'll ever be fully confident because different scenarios are always thrown at you. Social work is not something where every day it's the same thing. I think we all know that. So something will come up and you'll just think, what? What do I do? And that's why I was saying that it's good to have a good manager that you can go back to and say, this is happening, you know, how do I tackle this? And like I said, having a good team around you as well. And I think within every team, like Ivan said, you've got different experiences. So you can go back to a colleague and say, this is happening. What do you think? So it's very, very important to have that team. And I think that's why it's a shame that we had kind of like the COVID lockdown, because I think some people might have lost that interaction. So I'm glad that we're kind of back in the office. So where I am, we don't need to go into the office, but we do go for duty. And I always find it's really good to be able to talk to colleagues and kind of get ideas, because, you know, we're reflective practitioners, aren't we? So, yeah, so I like that. So, yeah, I don't think you'll ever be fully 100% confident. And I think actually, if you are as a social worker, you need to check yourself, because, you know, we're working with people that are changing all the time. So, yeah.
Taiwo, I mean, sorry, son. I was about to call you by your surname.
Ivory.
Like you're in trouble. I mean,
like Taiwo
go on.
You do build your confidence. I'm definitely a much more confident social worker than at the start of my journey, and that's expected. But also, I do agree also that you will never be fully confident, because I don't know everything, and I know my colleagues also don't know everything, and that's why I love the team that we're in, because we prop each other up. There's someone like myself, for example, who knows a little bit more about the Care Act, let's say, or working with adults, as opposed to a colleague who's had years of experience, but their experience has been around the Children's Act. So, you know, you do, even as a newly qualified, you will bring something to the table. You're not always going to be the one who is the newbie, the new kid in the block. And you just, to build your confidence, you have to build each other's confidence as a team. I think the confidence is in there through your colleagues, through each other.
I think that I appreciate that. Thank you. I think that there is always a family, young person or issue that is going to be a trigger at some point in your job. And even if you are really confident, everybody has a weak spot or an area that they're probably not resilient in. And in recognizing that, like me, I would generally just go, even if I'm concerned that, because there are certain things, I won't go into it on this show, I'll talk to you privately, but there are some things that push my buttons. And it's not screaming and shouting parents, but there are certain things that really push my buttons, and I'm aware of it. And although I might consider myself confident, I know where I'm not. But you might not know, but I know. And then sometimes I will talk to one or two people about it. But we all have to be honest with ourselves about where we are strong and where we are weak, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah, one of the people have typed up to say that you're never fully confident. It's that the experts are those of the families that you work with. They're the experts of their lives, and that's true. And as Taiwo mentioned earlier, you know, you don't know. Everyone has a different circumstances, different journey. They've got their own narratives, and that's what you go by. But then at the same time, where you do acknowledge that they are the expertise in their journey. I think from a professional perspective, you've also got a role in there. I mean, I'm just trying to think in terms of what I'm trying to say, how to say it. You want to mitigate any risks if you didn't have that working relationship with them or social work involvement. You want to mitigate any possible risk that may result. Because at the end of the day, the family that you're supporting, for example, within my team, you know, it may not just necessarily be supporting the child with a disability, it's the parents as well, and mitigating the risk of a family breakdown because of the pressures of caring for a child with a disability. You know, and that could range from, you know, someone who exhibits really challenging behaviors, aggressive behaviors, hitting, you know, being violent towards a family member, older or younger. So yeah, it's yes, they are an expert of their own lives, but it's offering that support to prevent the negative impact if you weren't there to support them. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, couple more questions. Do you remember your first assessment, yes or no, that you wrote? So
I do, and it was sent back. That was shock of my life. What is this? What is this? I got a first class. I don't have to write.
let's talk about that.
Which one? The first class?
You passed with a first class degree and you brought this piece of work to me. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Okay, let's talk about it, because I think this is the assessment, right? And I remember my first one took ages. I was like, nah, this is not good enough. Let me go again. And it was sent back 3 times, literally. But yeah, let's talk about it. So assessment writing, what's your take on it in terms of your experience? Yeah, let's look at it from that angle.
So go on, Agony.
I was going to say, you've made me recall my first assessment when I was in my final 100-day placement, and this was for a fostering team. And it didn't get sent back, but the comment I had from the team manager was that it was too academic, I think was the word. So you know how we write in our assignments, apparently the way I wrote my assessment, it was a fostering assessment, was too much, too academic. So bringing that to where I am today, I don't remember that my first assessment, I don't think it was sent back time. But the comment, you know, with the managers, they comment on the assessment and your analysis and recommendation. So that one, what was always pummeled in me was that you need to make sure that when you're writing, it has to be using layman's terms, because with the possibility that the family that you're working with will want to read it back. You know, using the word posit, posits, Weber posits, instead of it's Weber said, you know, it's using simplistic language that the family will understand is what you're aiming for.
Yeah, definitely.
So none of the academic assignments that we were doing, that they always were, you know, badgering us over to make sure that we have our, you know, not first class, but, you know, to get a good grade. Yeah.
I think it's obviously remembering as well that it's not an assignment, and as Ivan said, it is for the family to read back, so it needs to be in language that they can understand. because it's about their life, it's about their story, and it's about what's going to be put in place for them. So you can't be abbreviating words and using jargon, and you have to be careful how you word it as well, because obviously things that are happening within families can be quite upsetting for them. And maybe, like all of us, you don't always hold a mirror up to yourself and to your life, do you? So when you read things back, it can be like, oh gosh, I didn't realize that this is the impact this is having on my children. So for me, when I had my assessment sent back, it wasn't because of language or anything like that. It was, I think for me, more systems and processes. So like I said, when the referral comes through, so I don't know, I don't want to kind of get too complicated for people. So, but when a referral comes through, when your CFA, your child and family assessment, is triggered, it's got the reason for referral. So I just used to copy and paste it and put it in. And my manager was like, no, you have to rewrite it. So rather than how you got it, this referral was received by so-and-so because of so-and-so. So, little things like that. Making sure that I put all the people that I'd contacted and what they put on. What else was little things? And I suppose just being more detailed and also showing what impact whatever was having on the child. So it wasn't just Sally wasn't going to school, it was Sally wasn't going to school, and because she's not going to school, it means that they haven't got friendships, they're missing out on learning, they're not able to read, they're not able to that. So it was kind of being more factual in what the impact for the child was. And then at the end of it, it was again that analysis, putting it all together, being succinct about it, and this is what's gonna happen. So it was just, I can't hear you, Curtis.
I'm on mute. So you're using big words such as succinct.
It's being to the point.
Yeah.
What planning.
Be specific in terms. Yeah, even in your when you're gathering information, you need to be succinct. So what information you're gathering under health, what matters, what do they want to see on paper? Have they attended the dentist? When was the last dental appointment? What was the outcome of that? Are they up to date with their immunizations? And so. Education. What's their punctuation, attendance? It's things like that they want to see.
We have to take into account that when you meet that family, you have to remember how they read.
Yes.
And their academic level before we write. We cannot write a flat assessment as if it's to anybody. So if it's a family that I think has, maybe learning needs to a level, or poor educational attainment, maybe there's a culture of low achievement, you got to write for them. And don't let your manager really pressure you into upping your language on that basis. You've got to justify, no, actually, I know this family. They're going to understand it the way I'm writing it. Yeah. But I would add to what you guys are saying, because you guys are bringing some powerful tips. You got to write what you saw with your eyes or your observations and kind of draw inference from it. You also got to capture the voice of the people that you're speaking to. As far as they talk to you, you got to say, Johnny said this, and try and make sense of it a little bit. It sounds a lot, but you become a lot more efficient at it. I've got some.
It's like having conversation with your child, I think, or with any other. That's the thing that also surprised me. Like how you are, like how we're talking now.
Yeah.
And getting to know each other.
Yeah.
It's basically like, it's going to be like that.
Yeah.
When you start talking to your families, whether you're talking to the parents or talking to the child, you would speak to them, obviously at their level of understanding, and just asking them, make it as a normal conversation, not like an interview process. It's just like with a child, I don't know, you may bring in some direct work. So when they're talking about voice of the child and direct work, for me, I thought direct work, it has to be paper-based. I have to be doing something. Well, no, not necessarily. Direct work could be a conversation that you can record as direct work, a conversation that you've
In
had
fact,
with a child, for example.
in fact, a friend of mine said the assessment can be a piece of work in itself.
Mm. Oh, what, the whole assessment?
Yeah.
Oh, explain.
Or at least parts of it. So some of the assessment, when you're looking at family history, you can help the family see what the patterns have been and help them see how to break the patterns of behaviors that are of a concern. And that's a piece of work.
Yeah.
So you can use elements of the assessment to do work, but I guess it depends on the team that you work in. They're asking here, not for the week, is there a template? It depends on the team. I only work with children and families. There is the
assessment triangle, somebody pointed it out there.
Yes, triangle, absolutely. That's in. Oh, I haven't got it here.
And there is a template, I suppose, because so in where we were working before, it kind of it gives boxes. So it has child 1, education. So it kind of gives you pointers.
Yeah.
And well is that you look at so one thing that and you have to be careful about accessing people's files, but I spoke to my manager and she was like, oh, so and so is really good at writing assessments.
Yeah.
And kind of get a feel for it.
Yeah, there is. There's a guide in whenever you're doing an assessment. There's a guide in the software always. When working with children and families, what is the age range? Is it 0 to 18? For me, it's unborn to 18. Yeah.
0 to 25.
15 to 25, but I only work with 15 and a half to 18.
There you go. Let's have a look. Assessment triangle. Yeah, assessment triangle. Don't forget that. I have that on you. I use that all the time. Even though I know a lot of it, I keep it there as I'm writing. Why? Because it makes me write so quickly and so efficiently.
But within that, you break it down, right? So going back to someone was asking if there's a template, you create your own template. I create mine. So under that assessment triangle, it's almost like those are subheadings. I would look at them as subheadings, and then under that, then and that's how I prepare myself. I prepare myself before I go out on my visits to find out what information is it that I want. What do I want to get out of this visit? So if it's part of a child and family assessment, the child and family assessment can't be done really in one visit. But as Curtis said, you try and pack in as much as you can. So using that assessment triangle, I'll break down my questions of what I want.
Yeah.
And that will be my template.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind, we all work in different teams. Our approach will be slightly different. Mine is about safeguarding. There's usually a major concern whilst we're involved. And so I'm focusing on the areas of concern from the referral and understand it. And then if I can, I will, in that first session, I will try to then ask surrounding questions, family network, parenting style, all of that. That's in the assessment triangle. I'm going to build it in. But I also add my own headings as well. You can obviously do that. It's your assessment. Don't forget that. There's a question from Shilo. I won't answer that now. Hold on, let me see. DM us afterwards. I had a session today about how cultural genograms can be an assessment direct work. Of course. Everything you do with the families work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Through asking Flowers, Bemsy says, through asking questions and motivational interviewing, families can often come up with their own solutions or answers. Come on, guys, this is it. Absolutely. I think social work is more about having the right questions, not always the right answers. Yeah, that's a part of it as well. I agree. Yeah, I would love to work with the clients with disability. Go for it. There's jobs out there, guys. Are there jobs out there?
Loads.
Too many jobs. Loads of jobs.
Just not enough takers.
It's finding the right one, and it's finding one that works. I think someone earlier on spoke about that work-life balance. I mean, I applied to a local authority recently, and I turned them down because I realized that with the cost of living, how much I'd have to be paying for travel would be quite a lot. And also I thought if I do have a late visit, by the time I get back home, I'm looking at traveling an hour and a half, and I didn't want that. So I turned them down. And I think what's important, and what I would say is, don't work in the local authority where you live, because and the most awkward thing is bumping into someone on a Saturday morning in Tesco's, and they're like, "Tyrone, what are you
It's gonna
doing?"
happen. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Oh, I just came to see client. Thought I'd do, and they'd be like, "What, on a Saturday morning?"
You
So
took me to child protection conference. Like, what the heck? Let me pull out my gun. That's why I don't allow people to say where they live.
yes,
Sorry, where they work on this. Well, where they live or work on here. I don't allow it because I'm like, no way.
yeah, it's too.
No way.
It's too so I would say, so where I work now, it kind of neighbours where I live. So if I do have a late visit, I know I'm going to get home within 30 minutes or so. So that's helpful. So again, you know, you've got to have your work-life balance. You don't kind of want to be traveling. I mean, it's up to people if they can do it, but you know, I've got kids and I don't want that. So
No, we don't want to see you on the news.
And we've got the luxury of that now. We've got that luxury, that choice, to be honest.
yes.
You know, hybrid working, I think it's definitely here to stay.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got people working from north of England, south, you know, in the central local authorities, central London. So yeah, it's you've got the pick of the bunch, I would say, but definitely, I don't know. Yeah, you've got the pick of the bunch.
Yeah. You got to work out what's right for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask the last one. Wherever we go from here, we'll see. Actually, someone did ask me a private question. Let's have a look. I'm about to do a traineeship in children's services. What advice would you give for first placement? Okay, let's answer this question. I'm about to do a traineeship in children's services. I'm thinking that is like step up program or something. What advice would you give for first placement and keeping on top of my master's assignments?
Do you get a choice? We didn't get a choice for placement, did we? We were just told that's where you're going.
Yeah.
I don't think you get a choice, really. You might be able to say a preference, but I think you're just sent. And I think what they try and do is one adults and one children's, don't they?
Yeah, I don't know if the step-ups do that. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
But
Step-ups, I think they go straight into a local authority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go straight into a role. I think they should refund us back our degrees, to be honest. I'm not happy about it. What advice would you give? What advice? Because they're paying people to do the studies, and I had to pay 6K.
I saw one, 20,000 they're paying them for. I can't remember which local authority. 20,000.
Come on. It's not fair.
Oh my gosh.
Let me ask a question before I get into it. What advice would you give for first placement and keeping on top of assignments?
Oh gosh.
Okay.
And keeping on top of assignments. Oh no, I can look back at mine. It's always like, Tyrone, Curtis.
Yeah, we used
I
to
don't know. How do I start this? Your colleagues.
Yeah.
Ask your colleagues for support. Sometimes the support that you need in terms of keeping a balance of it with your work and your... Oh, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that because, again, I just think you just get on with it.
Do you know what I say?
Set yourself a set day.
I say, this is what I did, right? I wrote about this. I haven't released all the info on it yet, all the articles in it, but I wrote about this because we were, us three at least, there was others as well, but us three at least were very good support, maybe because of our age and the fact that we were all like parents. Like
Mature students, yeah.
Thank you very much. I was going to say, I didn't want to, but no, I am a mature student. And I was a mature student. And what I did was in the lesson, I was building my assignment. That saved me so much time. In fact, let me help you understand. When you're in a lecture, you have to understand that the lecturer has put together an assignment presenting to you in the lesson. All you got to do is copy that. Copy what they're saying, copy what they're doing, and just change the topic. That's it.
No, that's not helping the person who asked the question. Set yourself a date. So I'm in my ASYE.
No. Hold on. Let me go
Every
back.
other week.
Hold on. Let me go back. In the lesson, remember we were given iPads, right?
Yeah.
That's where our money went, right? They gave us iPads. I would be building my assignment on my iPad and building my references in the lecture.
I remember, and I was shopping. Remember,
I remember that.
Right.
You still got it.
Oh my gosh. That's
I
it.
haven't sold it.
And you know what? That saved me time. By week 4 and 5, I had built all my references, and we've got like 6-7 weeks left.
Yeah, you were organised though, Curtis. You really were. I do recall that, and you're always forever trying to help us how to do this. I never could get it.
We didn't. Yeah, I was always shopping. I was always online shopping. I couldn't, but I think it's
Unsold us.
You just got called out. You just got called out.
Just can you? Aren't you supposed to be doing your dissertation, Temi?
It's Temi.
And I sold it after the course, by the way. But I would say, again, it depends on your learning style, isn't it? So Curtis could do his in class. For me, like I said, I needed total silence. So when I worked, it was at night. So hopefully you'll find your learning style and what works for you. But also for first placement, again, hopefully people will get lucky. I had a really good first placement, and
I did work there as well.
Yeah, the practice educator there was very good and kind of gave me all the time that I needed. And when it was quite quiet, because when you're in placement, you're not really kind of working, especially, and I worked in a charity, so it wasn't like a traditional social work environment. So I had times to look at journals and to download things and to photocopy and stuff like that. So hopefully you'll get a really nice placement where you'll have the freedom to be able to do some work on the side for your course as well.
In both placements, I did especially in the second placement, my supervisor was like, "Do what you want."
Yeah.
And
thank
God for that, because I was 2.5 hours journey each way.
Yes, I remember.
I was livid. That was a killer. And then he said to me,
"But now you're laughing."
Huh?
Now you're laughing.
I'm laughing now, but
I was going to say now you're laughing to the bank, but I have decided to remove the bank.
No,
but now you're laughing.
He was great because he said, like, Curtis, look, come in 4 days a week. If you have to come in 3 days, but then COVID hit as well at that point, and so there was time, luckily for us. But I was like, I've got to go to work. It was tight. And so I was doing a driving job as well. And whenever they gave me a shift, I had to take it. In fact, there were times in class when I had to just, guys, I got to go. No, my daughter's not back in time for school and I've got to go now. And that's what it was. So it was crazy. Anyway, I digress. Sorry. Where are we? Is there questions?
No, just definitely set yourself a day.
Yeah.
And the weekends. I think we were lucky also because we had the pandemic. Everybody was all at home anyway in the final placement, isn't it? So we had all that time. But yeah, I remember someone from Islington came to visit. I remember her telling her, set yourself a day. I don't know if you guys remember that. Set yourself. For her, it was a Thursday. And Thursday was an allocated day to focus on her uni assignments. And then with the portfolio, I suppose, with the portfolio that you need to maintain, it's very similar to the ASYE portfolio. So, but more, the one that the ASYE portfolio is a lot more simple. It's definitely in the local authority that I'm in. So it's just a matter of just keeping that up to date and just finding a system, finding ways that might make it easier for you. So yeah, I mean, you will figure it out, but definitely set yourself days of when you are going to focus on your uni assignment, because it can get overwhelming if you let it.
Yeah, be consistent. Don't think, oh, I'll do it next week. Do not do that.
Don't do that.
Just do a little bit.
I did that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. No, but it always took me a long time. But I had you
Start.
guys at the end of the phone call, isn't it, to just hear me go on and on and on and give me, and you guys were there to give me pointers. So, you know, that always helped me. And it's no different now. My colleagues are the ones I go to and I ask for advice, you know, for feedback or just to bounce off an idea. So that's important.
Okay. Finally, your top tips or top tip for students and or ASYE and or newly qualified.
Be yourself.
What do you mean?
Take it all within your stride. What you're doing now is just going to be, as you're doing it now, that's how it's going to be. It's no different. If you're doing it already, then nothing really, it's not any different. Is it any different, guys? In actual practice, in comparison to where we were as students, when we were slaving away, doing our research and God knows what else, to where we are now, I just don't think there's much of a difference. We're still slave to our jobs.
Mm. I mean, I would say, remember that you're a student. And wherever you can, we remind the people that you're with that you're a student and you're there. Remember our lecturers always used to say, you're there to learn. So just remember that you're there to learn and protect your time. So remember as well, we used to have, it was equivalent to half an hour at the end of every day.
Oh, yeah.
To do our reflective practice. So whether you did that half an hour every day or you did half a day or a day every 2 weeks, again, just whatever you're entitled to, make sure you take it because you are protected as a student, you are protected as an ASYE. So be able to say that and stick to that. And also just keep at it. It is worth it. Social work is a stressful job. And at least once a week, I'm like, there's got to be something else. There's got to be another way. But actually, I don't think I could do anything else. And maybe because I'm really lucky at the moment, I'm in a really good team.
Yeah.
But it is worth it in the end. And as we know, you can use social work anywhere. It's not just local authority. You've got hospitals, you've got community, there's so much that you can do with that skill set as well. So yeah, just keep plodding on and keep doing it, and you know, reach out to the man Curtis who's doing all of this. I think it's so good. We never had this in our day. You know, people can talk about their real life experiences. So reach out to people, ask for advice, use your lecturers, use your practice educators, you know, just use that support that you've got. Yeah. And
do it in the nicest possible way, I was going to say, with what you said about, you know, make sure you're taking what you're entitled to have. But in terms of protecting your boundaries,
yes,
do it in the nicest, respectful way. You don't have to be combative, and you know, you don't have to say, you know, it all goes back with your intonation, and it's the same way as you speak to your service users, you speak to your colleagues or your line managers in the same way, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be spoken to any differently, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a nice way of saying things that includes the tone of voice as well. So, which is
reference.
Yeah.
Apply for your job, you know, I had to still, because again, depending on the local authority, but I had to get, when I did my ASYE, I had to get 5 references. 5. So I had both my college tutor, I had my last job. So remember, you want to keep those relationships that you can get that reference as well. So be nice.
It's part of your professional development as well. It's relationship building, and it's a skill that you will use anyway when you're working with families, because there are families there who are going to be extremely challenging, and in terms of reminding them that you're a student, actually sometimes I think that can also go against you with professionals, because yeah, they think, okay, you're a student, you can't know much, and I've had that. It's like, who are you? You know, because I was challenging the placement with the type of support that they were giving a young adult that I was supporting. But even with families, you are going to get families who are going to be very challenging towards you just by your very presence there in their lives. And it's good to start building that, I don't know, that character in you. So speaking to your colleagues, the way you speak to colleagues, to other professionals, yeah, that's what I always say.
I like what you just said. Be yourself. You're one of those people. Although you say that you have that, you know, that imposter issue, which is all got secretly in many ways. But one thing I remember about you is that you are very outspoken in a respectful way. I've never heard you be disrespectful, but you will say it if you think it's an injustice. And as a student, do not. You're laughing, but it's true.
Don't let that hinder you, even though as you're a student.
No.
Don't let it hinder you, because at the end of the day, for all of you there who are still in this journey of becoming a social worker,
yeah,
you're there where you are off your own back. And that's all I can say. So you carry on with that. Yeah.
And I think, like you said, Ivan, I think you need to have that voice as a student, because when you go, so we have something called panel. I'm sure everyone's kind of been to panel, and you need to fight for your clients, and you're
advocating. Yeah.
You need to be able to have that voice. You need to be able to say why you want those services for your people. So if you can't advocate for yourself, and I think as social workers, we don't always advocate for ourselves well, but you're going to do it for your service users. So you need to be able to, and that's why my PE always said to me, Tara, you need to find your voice, because there are times when you're going to have to go into meetings and tell other professionals or tell your managers.
It's on you. It's on you.
Yeah. This is what I want, and this is what I need.
Do you know what? I just before we go, I had a few experiences where school professional, I call them school professionals, these big words, these hierarchical teachers, head teachers, safeguarding leads are trying to convince me that the concerns require a lot more intervention, child protection. And they're having a very robust discussion with me. I'm just letting you know that your jewelry is ringing in the mic, Ivan.
Sorry.
All your riches are ringing through. All your social work. And they're having a really robust discussion with me. And I had a couple of them at times, at various occasions, thinking that I was on board with their analysis of the situation. And I'm like, I've met this family. I know who they are, as far as I'm concerned. But the version that you're giving me, I can bend. And what if you're in a strategy meeting or a professionals meeting or whatever it might be, team around family, and they're like, we think this. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, that's not it. So I'm that voice for the family.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And don't let people bend you. That's tough. That's really tough. But don't be bent towards something that you don't believe in.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why I go back to Ivan's comment, and yours as well, actually. You know, your voice as a student social worker is enough. Don't let anyone think that you're any less. How many on the panel? I don't know how to answer that. At least
it depends.
5.
So my panel has got head of service. Sometimes my manager comes, placement team. But basically, so because Ivan's got a panel on her team. So my panel is where we go in and we ask for services for our young people. So it might be they need to move placement, they need something for school, they need a laptop, they need whatever. So we go to panel and we say, this is what I go to panel and I say, this is what my young person needs and why they need it. And I get a yes or a no. Ivan, do you want to explain your panel? Because your panel's...
So I would have the service manager, who would be the chairperson. And then you've got service manager from the adults team, depending as to who. So we've got two types of panel. We've got the children, young persons panel, so the under 18, then we've got the 18 plus panel. And so the people on both of those, in the 18 plus, you'll have the service manager from the service manager from the adults learning disability team, and probably two of her colleagues. You've got someone from the finance team. You've got your own service manager, so the service manager for children with disabilities, myself. So it can vary. It can vary from no less than 4 people. So the minimum would be 4, and then it could be up to 6 people on there. But as long as you present it well and you've outlined exactly the outcome you hope to achieve for this person, for whatever care package you're trying to put in place, and you've backed it up, then you should be all right. There's been times where I felt like I was a lawyer, and I did say that. I took it back to my team manager. I said, I should have been a lawyer, really, because you are advocating for the young person or the young adult and the families, and you're trying to you're advocating, you're trying to fight for a service that they are entitled to receive, and that's a constant puzzle for me, and that I don't like at all. I mean, I've done the work. Why am I having to prove that this is the kind of support? That's another battle that I deal with, but it's part of the process. So the way for me, for it to be a success for the families that I'm working with, is to make sure that it's airtight, that I ain't going to be sent back, because I'm not wasting time to be sent back to do another piece of work when I've got other work to be doing, to be getting on. So do you remember what one of the professors said? Say what you mean and back it up. It's basically what it is. Say what you mean and back it up.
That is social work in a nutshell. That's what it all comes to, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Say it and back it up. Yeah, I like that. Thank you both. It's a lot of work talking. It's
really, this has been good. Thank you for having us on.
No, cool.
It's almost like therapy, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
That's why CPD. I'm telling you.
I may just log it.
Just log it now.
But as usual, I leave that a month before closing.
Before.
So
are you going to be one of those? Are you going to be one?
It's all with the best intentions to do things, but we've got other. What's the phrase that I like to use? Other pressing matters, other priorities. Yeah, group supervision. I wish we had that.
Are you going to be one of the 4,000 who didn't make it? That's the thing. Like,
who said that? 4,000
social workers. Yeah, that didn't make it.
Didn't make
who didn't
what?
do their CPD?
Oh no! It's done, but at the last minute.
I just want to say to everyone, if your student, let them know that they can hire me to come and support with yours learning. That's the plan. Speak to your tutors. I want to thank Taiwo and Ivany. I miss you guys a big time. We're supposed to meet up. That's all it is. We'll make it happen one day before.
It is due.
Before we retire. So thanks for your time. Can we get a round of applause for our
Thank you,
guest?
thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Hope we helped.
Counts as your yes, yeah. CPD. Yes, it does actually, because you can put your reflective essay in that CPD. Just make sure you anonymize it.
Oh, just to let you know, they're about 10 seconds behind, so that's why it's all coming through now. Look at that. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's for you all.
Oh, good luck with all of the students. Good luck with your the remaining. Keep at it.
Oh, me? You talking to me?
No, to the students that you've got on
Oh,
here.
I thought you were talking
Yeah,
to me,
keep
like,
at it and make sure don't defer. Do that final piece of work, which is always the last hurdle, and it's the most trying one.
just
But
do,
you will get there.
just do it.
Think of it like use Curtis.
Huh?
That's where you're going to be. Have Curtis at the end of the finishing line.
Okay.
You know, for the final piece of assignment, the dissertation.
Have me. What's me going to do with the? What am I going to do with
Because
the?
then they could be you. They could be you in a year's time or 2 years' time, Curtis.
All right. That is a mantle to carry. I mean, it's not for me. You know.
No, you're doing it.
Yeah, I'm hustling. This is it. You know me already. You know me.
All
All right, guys.
right.
Here, have a good night. Thank you both so much. I'll talk to
Take
you
care.
very soon. Yeah.
Speak soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.